Welcome back. So, we know you have big dreams, you have things you want to accomplish, and we're going to talk about organizing your writing life to get there. And we're going to start with something that seems very obvious, but you might be like, oh, I never thought about doing that. Do you have a list of all the story ideas or poem ideas that you have? Do you have a list of all the pieces you've published, all the drafts you have? It kind of surprises you when you realize, oh, I actually don't. So today we're going to talk about how to organize everything that is your body of work or will become your body of work, and what you should keep track of and where. So here we're doing this in the Writer's Mission Control Center software, but you could do this as well in a document or in a spreadsheet using each of these fields as your headers. For each creative work, we have what's called a working title, and this is something that will stay the same throughout your work, even though the title itself might change, right? So you might have a piece called Mom Poem or The Pitbull Story, something like that. The stage that we set within the Writer's Mission Control Center is an idea, which just means like, oh, it's just, that could be a cool story, something like that. And what's cool is that sometimes when you collect these, you'll find that your ideas actually come together, and you'll realize that what you thought was two separate pieces is actually the beginning of one and the ending of another, and they become one thing. Once you have the first draft complete, that's here. In the works is kind of that middle space where you're working on it, it's chugging along. Final edits are you're almost done, then it's either ready to submit, or you might be writing a pitch for it. So this is for ideas that might be more in the journalism or nonfiction realm, where you're writing a pitch for a story. You might have a creative work that is assigned to you by an editor. And then no matter what its path, when it is done, then it becomes a published piece. And these become what's called our clips, where when someone wants to see an example of our work, it's really helpful to be able to see what are all the pieces I've published? And if you're new, you might be like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine being in a place where I couldn't keep track of all that I've published. But just wait and keep working, and you'll see that it actually turns out to be true one day. The form, you want to say what kind of piece it is. And here in the Writer's Mission Control Center, we set what kind of forms you work in the My Writer profile. So the ones that are shown here are just the ones we've selected. And you might have different kinds of poems, or everything from a graphic novel to a memoir. And so just saying, like, what is the idea? Because you might write in just one genre or just one form, but chances are you'll have multiple ones. And then once it is published, you want to keep track of what the final title was, any notes to yourself. And then when you completed the first draft, you might need the word count if you're submitting it, and then where it was published and what date it was published on, and always keep track of a link to the publication. So you might say, oh my gosh, where was that piece? And it's really nice to have it right here and be able to find it if you're looking for it later. And then what this creates for you is a nice list of all the things that you're working on. And if you do it here in the Writer's Mission Control Center or in a spreadsheet, you can filter. So let's say, okay, I'm sitting down and I'm ready to submit things. Show me things that I have that are ready to submit. And okay, here are two things I can send in right now. Or, I'm kind of in the mood to create something new. What are my story ideas? Okay, here they are. So it's very helpful to be able to see everything that you have in one place. Things that I've heard from people after doing this exercise are, oh my gosh, I didn't know how many pieces I had that were ready to submit. Or, I was doing a class and I needed some things to work on, and it was so nice to be able to have them all here in this one place. Can you imagine a store that didn't have a list of all the things they had in the store? It's really important to keep track of what you've created, and it really helps you see that you're moving along and that you are producing work, you have ideas, and they're not just scattered all over the place. Your energy is really concentrated in one place. And the last thing you have to do is promise yourself that you will return to this collection every time you have an idea. So don't just write ideas down on the back of napkins and let them fly away. Have them in one place where you could go back later.